Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shabbat Shem Dash, the one to the apostles, and else great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings to the help like of Israel. Yahweh is the name of the from the Hebrew. Ba'Shem is the name. Yahweh Shai is the name of the Mayan Son. Back in the lesson, and I see within the title, the M.O.T.B is soon to come. Soon to be implemented and pushed out, and especially, soon to be mandated. People mocked, people scoffed, called us crazy, and, especially when we're the ones saying it, looked upon as, crazy, bugged out, this and that. Jake doesn't want to, hear it, from our mouth. So, hey, this devil didn't tell you himself, as we read within this article, of what this devil is planning to push. That we have been warned enough to spend probably Yahweh down with the apostles and also down over that great millstone. That this is soon to be implemented. And especially the things that come with it. Dealing with these restrictions, the mandates. As we're especially gonna get throughout these other various scriptures, the consequences if you do take this thing. But it says, this article of the White House, it says, winning the 6G race. Now it says, by the authority vested in me, and this is who is heavily going to be pushing it. By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, I hereby direct Section 1 purpose. So it is coming out the horse's mouth. For the jakes that, don't want to, take our word for it. Well, hey, it's double telling you himself. Now, the next generation of mobile communication networks, 6G, will be foundational to the national security, foreign policy, and economic prosperity of the United States. Now, it says this technology will play a pivotal role in the development and adoption of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and listen to this, and implantable technologies. So this devil is especially going to be pushing. And you're seeing the foundations being laid out, the infrastructure, all in order to introduce and bring about this beast system which we ran through, that M.O.T.B, that RFID C-HIP will soon be mandated and pushed out to where you're gonna need it to do anything, to travel, to buy things, to go to your job. To be able to access this new, bigger, and better, and your network. This 6G that they're now, heavily going on about. Because basically that's what this devil is especially going to do in order to force people's hands. To where if you want to be able to access the internet, you're going to need to have that certain something. Because we're going to continue to read. It says, and implantable technologies. In case you didn't hear that, let's read it one more time. And implantable technologies. So this devil telling you himself. Now it says 6G will also provide faster, more resilient, and more secure communication networks that can be utilized for national security and public safety purposes. So they're going to be pushing this in the name of so-called security, safety, convenience, that this is bigger, that this is better. And you're going to have people lining up for this. And you already see the various steps this devil has taken to do away, with the dollar, which you already see it falling, crashing. America in trillions of dollars of debt. You have the BRICS, these nations leaving the dollar behind. So people are going to be looking for something bigger and better, looking for a solution. And this devil's going to swoop in with the so-called solution, which is going to be this M.O.T.B. Now, he wants to 6G, let's read one more time. 6G will also provide faster, more resilient, more secure communication networks that can be utilized for national security and public safety purposes. So they can make it to where nothing else is able to operate this 6G if you don't have this M.O.T.B. The phone will be used as laptop, whatever the case may be. You can't access the internet, Wi-Fi in general without it. So you see how this devil's going to force a lot of people's hands. And why you're going to have many people end up cracking that pressure supply, especially a lot of these unfaithful Israelites that will soon be revealed. Just as you had back in 2020 dealing with that concoction, that juice was heavily pushed where it was required at certain jobs, and you have these jakes that end up took the juice, that were unfaithful, they didn't trust in the Lord. So if you failed the pop quiz then, imagine when the test is now in play. What do you do then? Because back then, that was nothing but a trial and a test for what the devil's getting ready to do. Because even then, you had people, talking about these lockdowns and how they're wanting to go out and live this so-called normal life once again and go out and party and do all these various things. And you saw how that came at a price. You needed to have that juice. You needed a green pass to travel to go on a plane. They held checkpoints at one point. And that was just a prelude example of what's to come, dealing with this M.O.T.B that will soon be mandated and required for everything. Even back then, you had people fined, jailed for not wearing a mask. So imagine what this devil's going to do now. Especially when people see that you're unable to access the internet, when you're unable to live a so-called normal life. And really, especially when people see that you're able to see holograms and, the phone won't be pretty much needed, or laptops won't be needed anymore. Because it's all going to be within your hand and your brain, as y'all seen the Neuralink being pushed by Elon Musk. But let's get these scriptures at hand. There's Revelation 13:16-17. And it says, and he called those but small, great, rich, and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. That word mark in the Greek goes to the word charagma, which then goes to the word etch, scratch, and we say physical mark. Elon Musk creating the Neuralink, which is that mark on the forehead. Other companies also creating certain things and following suit, which already have various people taking things like that already. So we are in those times, man. And you see now the government, your president, heavily pushing this. The main one being these implantable technologies. This is why you're seeing everything moving towards a digitized direction. This devil especially wants that total control. Now verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name be the number of his name. And very soon you won't be able to live a so-called normal life without it. And you'll have Jacob raising unfaithful questions. Well, how are we going to eat? How are we going to survive? What we're going to do? Put your faith and your trust in Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. As you get throughout various scriptures, the great things, great miracles that the Lord is going to do for those that endure, those who remain faithful. How my servant shall eat, but he shall be hungry. My servant shall drink, but he shall be thirsty. My servant shall rejoice, but he shall be ashamed. Now, I want to say Psalms 37:25. I've not seen where pretty much you're going to our Lord has not forsaken his righteous. The Lord's going to take care of his elect, man. But Ezekiel 12:23, and I'm going to read straight from the M.O.T. And it says, tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says, I will put an end to this proverb, and you will soon stop quoting it. And it says now, and why we're going to stop quoting it? This is now given this new proverb to replace the old one. The time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. Prophecies and be speaking, playing out, taking place. So soon the prophets will no longer be doing the talking, man. It's also why it's important to get this truth and knowledge and wisdom while you still can, because very soon it's going to be all stripped and taken away. It's Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. And it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end shall speak and not lie, they will tarry wait for it, because it shall come, it will not tarry, meaning it will not delay. That vision speaking of these signs and these prophecies, and guess what? We're in those appointed times as written and spoken of within the scriptures. The Lord is making it crystal clear with the times that we're in. Matter of fact, he's beginning to ramp things up even more. Matthew 24:21-22 further adds to that point. Because another lesson I was going to make was going to Lord hasten the days. Because I came across another video of someone speaking on about the time going by super fast. So you're seeing the spirit heavily being pushed regarding that. As it says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not said at the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be, Verse 22, the main point, and except the days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So physically and spiritually speaking. Seeing prophecy running rampant, pretty much, at a 2x speed. Especially once this M.O.T.B is pushed, once it's mandated, this place is done and dusted, man. We are at the end. And that's going to be a sight to see. And 2026 could be the year they do this. Hey, we have to see. But you've been seeing the foundation being laid out in order to do this. So we are in that time. And Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Got a couple more scriptures, not be the point. And it says, woe unto them that decree and write the decrees, and that write grievances which they have prescribed according to the draconian-like laws. Which goes to harsh, strict, severe. And that's what the devil's going to do, to where you're going to travel, you're going to leave your city, your state, you need to show me a certain something. To go on a plane, hey, you're going to need to have that certain something. To be able to buy things, you need to have that certain something. To be able to access the web and the internet, you need to have that certain something. To see how they're going to force a lot of people's hands. Especially people being deceived and tempted via these miracles they're going to be performing left hand side. 2 Thessalonians 2:9, it says, even him who's coming to the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Because I remember when Elon Musk was pretty much in the beginning stages, the talks of the Neuralink, he talked about how you could listen to music within your brain, and you had people all over that, especially speaking of Jake. I can't wait to listen to music with my brain. I don't need to carry this anymore, this and that. And you know how Jake is when it comes to the next, big thing. Jake either wants to, be first in line for the next big wave. But Revelation 14:9-10, and this is the judgment that is coming to those that do take this charagma. And it says, and the third angel followed him, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, so either hand you take in, you will be destroyed. Now, verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of wrath of the Most High, which is poured out mixed into the cup of his indignation, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. What's that fire and brimstone going to be? These thermonuclear missiles. So you take that charagma, and guess what? You buy yourself front row VIP tickets. Matter of fact, you're on stage with them to thermonuclear destruction. And it shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, the presence of holy angels, and the presence of the Lamb representing our Lord Yahweh Shah. But that's the point right there. I want to make a quick lesson to go into that. So a couple brothers making lessons, speaking on this right here. Dealing with this 6G race, and really the main point out of it, dealing with these implantable technologies, which go and show the prophets were right once again. And this is soon to be heavily pushed and implemented, mandated. This is your government pretty much speaking right here. So, that's the point. This quick lesson to spirit. Your Lord was edifying. I do close out. Give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Kakdash, and Shalom. See you next one, Lord's will.